A gray morning light filters through the courthouse windows, painting long shadows across the tiled floor. The air is thick with murmurs, lawyers whispering, papers shuffling, and a faint echo of heels against linoleum. When the clerk calls her name, a woman in a faded coat steps forward. Her posture is tired but proud. A plastic folder clutched in her hands trembles slightly, the kind of tremor born not from fear, but from fatigue. Judge Caprio looks up. "Ma'am, you look like you had quite a morning getting here." She nods, offering a thin smile. "Yes, Your Honor. I walked." The courtroom pauses. Even the hum of conversation fades. A few heads turn. The judge's expression softens, though his tone remains professional. "How far did you walk?" "About 5 miles," she answers, voice low. "I didn't have bus fare. My last few dollars went to milk and bread for my kids." The judge exhales, folding his hands on the bench. "Let's take a look at what we have today." The clerk begins reading her charges: unpaid parking tickets, expired registration, failure to appear. Each word lands like a quiet hammer. Behind those citations isn't neglect, it's survival. She had to choose between rent and fines, food and compliance. And each choice pushed her deeper into the system's shadow. Judge Caprio studies her face for a long moment. "All right," he says gently. "Let's go through this together." Fade to silence. The gavel rests, unused. The fluorescent lights hum faintly. The clerk's voice carries across the courtroom. "Outstanding balance, $423. For most, a number. For her, a sentence." Judge Caprio leans back, glasses perched low on his nose. "You've missed several appearances, ma'am. Why didn't you come in earlier?" She stares at her shoes. "I didn't have anyone to watch my children. My mother's sick. And I just couldn't leave them alone." Her voice breaks on the last word. The courtroom quiets. Even the bailiff glances over, his expression softening. Judge Caprio nods slowly. "So you had to choose between being a good mother and being a good citizen." She lifts her eyes, tearful. "I tried to be both, Your Honor, but every time I got close, something fell apart. A job, a home, a babysitter. It's like the system keeps resetting me." The judge's tone lowers. "I understand. Sometimes the system doesn't account for life." The audience feels the shift. The line between law and empathy blurs. The judge closes the file, no longer reading numbers, but seeing the person. "Let's take this one step at a time," he says. "Tell me what's really going on." The hum of the room fades to nothing but her breathing. Uneven, fragile, human. She speaks quietly, words spilling like confession. "I've been homeless since last winter. I sleep at the shelter when there's room. I want to work, but I can't without a license. And I can't get my license back without paying these fines." A circle, cruel and unbreakable. Judge Caprio leans forward, elbows on the bench. "That's not justice," he murmurs. "That's entrapment." The courtroom stills. Even the clerk lowers her pen. He continues, gentler now. "You came here today knowing you couldn't pay a dime, didn't you?" "Yes, Your Honor, but I wanted to show up. I didn't want to hide anymore." That line, "I didn't want to hide anymore," hits like truth. The judge nods once firmly. That takes courage, more than most people realize. He looks around the courtroom as if addressing more than her, as if speaking to the invisible crowd beyond the walls. Too often, poverty looks like irresponsibility, but it's not. It's exhaustion, it's sacrifice, it's surviving a world that doesn't wait for you. Her tears fall silently, but her posture straightens. For the first time, someone isn't condemning her. He's understanding her. Judge Caprio sets aside the paperwork. The legal part is over. Now comes the human part. "Ma'am," he says softly, "you walk 5 miles to come here. You didn't come to ask for sympathy. You came because you still believe in doing the right thing, even when life makes it impossible." Her eyes widen, hands trembling. "I'm dismissing all of your fines today," the judge announces. Gasps echo softly. One juror even nods, as if justice itself just exhaled. The woman covers her mouth, whispering, "Thank you." Thank you so much. He shakes his head gently. Don't thank me. Thank yourself for showing up, for not giving up. The clerk will give you some resources before you leave. Housing, transportation aid, maybe even job placement. She nods, tears flowing freely now. The courtroom, usually indifferent, feels warmer, more alive. As the bailiff escorts her to the clerk's desk, she turns back and says, "You're the first person who's looked at me like I mattered." Judge Caprio's voice softens. "You always did." The courtroom empties slowly. Papers rustle. Chairs scrape. Life resumes. But for a moment, Judge Caprio sits still, reflecting. Outside, through the frosted windows, he watches the woman walking away. This time not as a defendant, but as a person with hope. Justice without compassion, the narrator's voice says quietly, becomes just another privilege. But compassion turns justice into hope. The camera pans to the judge's bench, the seal of the court illuminated in the morning light. The gavel remains untouched, resting in silence. Friends, tell us where you're watching from, because sometimes the smallest act of understanding can restore more than fairness. It can restore faith. Subscribe for more real stories where justice meets humanity and where every judgment reminds us what compassion can do.